Another area I think you might have some fun in, if you will, is called the envelope distort features. Now, they've been there for a while. They're not new and they're not improved, but they're just kind of fun to work with. They're pretty cool. So what I want to do here is basically show you a bunch of them. So open up envelope.ai. We've got a couple of layers over here we're going to play with in a minute. Let's start with make warp layer, and that's what the word awesome is going to be doing. It's going to be warping. The cool news is you don't have to convert this into an object in order to make this work, but you do have to have it selected. So go ahead with your selection tool and go ahead and give that a click, select it, go up to the word object on the pull-down menu and go down to envelope distort, and you got all this neat stuff here. Let's start with make with warp. Now in make with warp, if you use Photoshop, I almost guarantee you've seen this because it's exactly the same thing except it works with vector. Let's turn the preview on. And we start warping this thing. We've got fish. You've got, well, you got all kinds of stuff. You've got arc. How about a flag? You want to wave a flag? We can wave a flag. We can change the bend. We can change the horizontal, make it into a pendant, I suppose, as maybe opposed to a flag itself. And we can change the vertical. It's not just for words. It's anything you want it to be. I'm just using words as an example. If you like it, and you're happy with it, let's actually do one more thing. Let's go into fish. Let's see what fish does for us before we commit ourselves here. And trust me, I am committable. Let's go this way and maybe a little less on the vertical. Stop. Click OK. Now you look at that and you say, oh, it's pretty cool, I guess. I could maybe put some words on circles and things. There's a lot of ideas I might pick up from this. But it doesn't look like awesome, Andy. It looks like maybe, I don't know, a torpedo or something. So I don't want the word awesome. I want the word torpedo. Can I do that? Well, if you pick up your type tool and come over here, it's not going to work because it's part of the envelope distort, but you're not dead in the water here. That's a torpedo joke. Go back up to, let's select it. Go back up to the word object and go down to envelope distort, and you have an option to edit the contents. And if you do that and come over here, now you can, if you want to do this, change it, like to, I suppose. And I think that's the way you spell torpedo. Anyway, if we come back out of it again, there you go. Now you got the word torpedo as opposed to awesome, up to you. You say, well, this is still, in a sense, a distortion. It's still that word that looks like that. It's not really this. It's just kind of faking it. It's in an envelope. Yes. Well, I want this permanent. Or I wish I'd never done this. I want to go back to the original way the text looked. Go back up, select it, go up to the word object on the pull-down menu and take one of two paths here. Go into envelope distort and either choose release, just give it back to me, I don't want it changed, or you can go to expand, meaning give it to me, take it out of the envelope and make that permanent. Now when you expand it, it's not text anymore, assuming you're using text. But if we go into release, you'll see something kind of cool happen. Basically, you see the envelope that caused the distortion. You might want to use that for something else, but if you don't, go ahead and press delete, get rid of it. We're back to where we started. Making a warp. Let's turn that one off and go into making a mess, or actually I should say mesh. So do this. Select our cat, go up to the word object on the pull-down menu and go down to envelope distort with, make with mesh. I'll go ahead and turn on the preview. Now you can add more rows or columns. As you add rows and columns, it gives you the ability to distort the image based on that mesh. So if you want something uncomplicated, make it less. We'll leave it at 6 and 6. Pick up your direct selection tool. Come over here, like these three right here, just for the fun of it. Go ahead and grab and select those three, which means I can now go this way with them, or I can go this way with them. Make them a little bit more sinister. I could come back up to this one right here and maybe drag it up like this. Actually, let's do these two on this one, see what we get. All right. Maybe we could come in here and kind of wonkify him this way. Is wonkify a word? I don't know. We now have evil cat, courtesy of mesh. Let's go ahead and turn that one off and go into make with top object. Now to me, this is really kind of cool. Come over here, and I got all these little ATM dudes, right? I want you to come over here and, well, let's start this way. Pick up this star right here and drag it over here. I see it's not on top. It must be on top. So it's still selected. Go to the word object on the pull-down menu, go down to arrange, bring to front. Now select all the ATM dudes and the star. Go up to the word object on the pull-down menu and go down to envelope distort, make with top object. Now that looks really weird, I understand. So let's get out of there. Let's go ahead and move this one out of the way. I want you to make something, just a circle. Go over to your ellipse tool. Get right about in the center and give yourself a nice big circle. So I'm holding the Alt key and the Shift key. That's not really necessary, but I am. Okay. Let's go ahead and select both. Just kind of grab in like this. And they are in a group, so you should be able to get them all. Now watch what happens. This is kind of cool. Object, same thing. Envelope distort, make with top object. All right. It's kind of like you're looking at them through a magnifying glass. Changes everything. Whatever the top object is, and of course it's got to be vector to vector, it will distort it based on the object. Now down here, we have the word star that has been converted, and we have actually the star itself. Now the star is on top. Just to prove a point here, I'm going to move this over here, and I'm going to move the star, say, to here. They don't have to be near each other. They don't have to be touching. They don't have to be centered. If you want star inside of here, and this is the top object, select it and shift-click and select this. Same thing with this. They didn't have to be next to each other. Go up to the word object one more time, and go down to envelope distort, make with top object. And you've got the word star kind of spelling out star, I guess. I'm from the state of Kansas. I might have the word Kansas inside of a map of Kansas. So the word Kansas looks like the state of Kansas. That'd be more fun if it was Florida, but you get the idea. You can basically distort just about anything you want. Now, if we go back up here again to the word object, actually, let me go ahead first and select something so you can see this. If you go to object and go back down to envelope distort, you do have an envelope options area. And in envelopes options, you have terms like anti-aliasing, which helps smooth things out. Do you want to preserve the shape using a clipping mask or transparency? Clipping masks are more common, and they do actually translate more into other programs, easier sometimes than transparency. Fidelity is accuracy. You can distort appearance, linear gradient fills, or pattern fills if you want to use them. You can always use a preview over here if you want to see what it looks like. So you do have, again, even more options if you want to use them. That's envelope distort. I think it's actually pretty fun, even though it's been there for years. It's one of those things you want to dig out every once in a while and dust off and play around with, because you might find you can do some pretty interesting things. On to the next.